Yeah, no, that's cool. Was 𝗬𝗿𝗀𝗀𝗃's not live? No, okay, that's fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Home Studio Simplified show. Today we have JMG Sound, his designer, Jason Gibbons. This is a awesome plugin company. They have really some groundbreaking ideas here. In fact, we just covered 𝗏𝗏 not too long ago here on the channel. We did a full review of that, and we even gave some away for those of you who got your hands on that. You know, congratulations to you, and I'm sure you're using this thing on every mix. In fact, I just used it yesterday on a mix I sent off to a client. The drums were well recorded, but they just weren't punchy enough. And I threw this plugin on there, and within a matter of mere seconds, the kick drum was there, the snare transients were there, everything was just like, it was just cracking like it should be. And so today we're going to be talking about JMG Sound, which is a company that he owns. It was founded by him, and he is a professional sound designer and a ghost producer. JMG Sound plugins use complex audio processing techniques balanced with easy-to-use controls, from analog hardware emulations to the latest advanced technology, all with superior sound quality, which if you've seen the review that I just did, I'm sure that you can definitely attest to that. So before we get into that though, if you're new here, you're wondering, well, what's this channel all about? This channel literally exists to simplify the complexities of the home studio and to help you make professional sounding music in a less than professional space. The motto around here is that we can dream alone, we can even create alone, but together we can achieve so much more. And by way of achieving so much more, nothing could be achieved around here without the help of these awesome individuals. Thank you so much to our VIP members, to our YouTube membership supporters, as well as our Patreon supporters. You guys rock. We couldn't keep the lights on without you. We couldn't keep the giveaways going without you. There's just so much that goes on behind the scenes that could not be if you guys weren't helping to support. So thank you so much. And now a word to our sponsor real quickly. None other than our good friends over at Produce Like a Pro. Today's video is sponsored in part by the ProMix Academy. The ProMix Academy offers affordable courses from mentors, world-class engineers, Grammy winners, and multi-platinum selling producers. And with the resources available on the ProMix Academy, you can learn how to create radio-ready mixes from the comfort of your own home studio. Most of the courses also offer multi-tracks that you can then add to your portfolio and begin to build out your business. Follow the link in the description of this video to head on over to the ProMix Academy today and start learning the skills that are needed to take your hobby or your business to the next level. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I bring to you none other than the legendary, the one and only, nobody can mess with this guy, Jason Gibbons.
Nice intro, thank you.
Jason, so good to have you on the show today. I really appreciate what you're doing. Creatively, you have a good grasp on what sound engineers, sound designers need. I love 𝗏𝗏𝗃. It's got to be like one of my go-to plugins now for drums. But before we get into sort of your creative process and what you like, what sort of drives that creative process, I just need to ask you, like right out of the gate, like where does your love of music actually come from?
Wow. Well, I don't really know how it started. I guess well, like the exact order of when it began, but I can remember in the early days some of the things I used to do when it sort of started. So I had an old 4-track tape recorder. I had a guitar which I couldn't play very well, and I had a basic synthesizer, and I used to just try and make little songs on there. And around about that time, the first that was all without a computer. But when I first got a computer, the first thing I started on was actually a little program called 𝗏𝗏𝗃. I don't know if you remember this one. It was very, very basic. It's just like some sample building blocks, and you kind of just drag and drop them into place. And it was the very beginnings of a DAW, basically. So yeah, and then as it started to get a little bit more serious, I moved on to Cakewalk, Sonar. I used Sonar for a very, very long time, all the way up until like Sonar 11 or something, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and I moved away from it, but then I saw that BandLab started offering it for free,
Mm-hmm.
which is great because it's a really good DAW, especially for free.
Right, right. Dude, that is awesome. See, I didn't even know that about your
Yeah.
background because I actually started like my first real DAW was Cakewalk, and I'm still
Yeah.
using it to this day. It's like one of the most powerful free DAWs on the market. I keep telling people that, and they're like, "Why is
Oh
it
yeah.
free? How's it free?" Like, there's that,
Yeah.
like what's going on behind the scenes? How are they doing this? So I actually created an entire video. I actually got to speak with Ming, the owner of BandLab.
Oh
I had
yeah.
a one-on-one with him, and he broke down basically the whole business model, laid it all out. And he said, this is exactly how we're able to keep it free. And this guy is a genius. I mean, honestly, he knows exactly what he's doing, why he's doing it. And his business model is to keep all of this free because he feels like we
That's
got
good.
horribly wronged by Gibson. And I don't know if you were around during that whole sordid history where Gibson dropped all support of Cakewalk without like any notice.
Yeah.
Everybody
Luckily
thought,
for me, I had already jumped ship before that happened, actually. And I jumped ship not because anything that was wrong with Sonar, because I thought it was a fantastic DAW. It's just that when a friend of mine introduced me to Ableton Live, I found that the workflow was better suited to the type of music that I was making, which was at the time predominantly like EDM, and Ableton just seemed to click with me. It just had a good workflow for that kind of. So yeah, I switched then, but that was just before it all started to go wrong, and I must have sensed it coming, maybe.
yeah, I actually rode that one all the way out. So I was,
Oh no.
yeah, in fact, I got on Twitter at the time. I didn't even have a big Twitter following or anything like that, but I got on Twitter and started this hashtag Save Cakewalk, and all these people got on board and started piling on. And within a couple of months, all of a sudden I get this email like, hey, BandLab's decided to buy out Cakewalk. And I was like, okay, cool. What does this mean though?
Yeah.
How much are we going to have to pay for this? Because I had literally just bought the Platinum Edition.
Oh no.
Yes. And then like, I think it was like a week or two, maybe 3 later, they dropped all support. I was like, no, I just bought this thing,
Yeah.
So
I can't remember what version I left at, but it was just around the time they introduced the the pitch correction software. Is it called Ira or something like that? And it was built in.
yeah.
Yeah, it was around about that time when that got introduced. I think it must be like Sonar 10, maybe Sonar 11, not sure.
Yeah, that was that was back in the day. But I'm telling you what, though, I have to say, I don't want to make this a cakewalk podcast, but I do have to say that out of all of the other DAWs that I've tried, and I've tried a lot, this one just makes sense to me. And
Yeah.
when you look back at its history, like they were the first company to start with MIDI technology into a DAW. They were the first company rather that started like introducing plug-in delay compensation and just like stuff that made sense,
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. So,
And the channel strip stuff was great, wasn't it?
oh yes, yes. And that's
Yeah,
actually,
it was really good.
that's a cool thing too. Like if you still have your old Cakewalk installation files,
Yeah.
if you was to download Cakewalk by BandLab today, you would get all of those legacy plugins back. Super cool.
And you can use them as a plugin in any DAW, can
Mhm.
you? I didn't know that.
Yes, yes.
But I use Bitwig as well now. I like Bitwig, and
Ooh,
I'm
okay.
just starting to learn Fruity Loops and Reaper. I try to keep jumping between them if I can, because obviously as a developer of the plugins, I need to be able to test the plugins on all of the different
Right.
environments and make sure. So it's good to have a deep understanding of all of them if I can. So yeah, I'm just at the moment venturing into Fruity Loops and Reaper. But I think probably Bitwig might be my go-to. I think it's probably my favorite.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, we definitely have some Reaper fans in the chat, as well as some Fruity
Yeah,
Loops fans. The
Reaper's
audience
really
around
good.
here is very vast. I mean, we have a huge, like, you would think this would just be nothing but a Cakewalk audience, because this is mainly a Cakewalk channel. But there's people
Yeah,
from all different DAWs that come, and I love it. I really do. In fact, I've
yeah,
said this on numerous occasions that a DAW, as awesome as they are, and as much as I would like to be partial just to mine, is literally just a tool, and it's how you use
hmm
that tool. And if you know, Bitwig works better for you, then that's the better tool for you. So
yeah, yeah.
the next question then is, we've talked a little bit about, you know, where your love of music came from. So then at what point did your love of music and all things musical, when did that turn into wanting to become involved with the software side of things?
Oh, I don't think there was any specific time it happened that I can, at least that I can remember. I think it was very much a gradual process. I spent a lot of time being obsessed with other people's plugins, I guess, to start with. I would always follow the new plugin releases, find out exactly what the plugin did. And there's always a curiosity to how they achieved that, especially if the plugin didn't obviously give that away from the interface and there was some magic happening behind the scenes. I would want to know, how does this work?
Right.
And even now, I mean, I started doing this back then, but even now I still do this, and it sounds probably odd to a lot of people, but I actually like spending some of my spare time reading the user manuals of plugins that I have no intention of buying or using, just to see what it's all about, what features did they implement. So yeah, I really enjoy learning about other people's plugins. And I guess with that came, at some point, I started to wish maybe they'd done something differently, or if I had have made this plugin, what would I have done
Mm,
differently? And
right.
that gradually led to me really, really wishing that I had my own plugin. Um, and it's to the point that I would even sort of have a little fantasize about it, just like falling asleep. I would just design completely from scratch exactly what my plugin would be if I did have one, and I even like designed the branding and the way it would work and everything, which was crazy because this was long before I even got my first plugin. So I had wanted to do it for a long time.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So you have all these creative ideas swirling around in your head. You've got this,
Yeah,
this obsession that's going on, which
yeah,
for a lot of us, you know, when audio is involved, especially if you're a creative and a musician, it really can just like completely arrest your attention. And
hmm,
I couldn't tell you how many times a mix or a new thing that I wanted to try the next day has kept me up all night wondering, like, well,
yeah,
what if I put the microphone here? What if I do this? Or what if I
yeah,
route things within Cakewalk this way instead of that way?
hmm,
So yeah, I could definitely sympathize with your your struggles of trying to get
yeah,
sleep there.
yeah. I do the same with sound design as well, which I'm equally as passionate for. So I'm often thinking about like different synthesis techniques, how I could achieve a sound by doing something different, and then when I get to sit down at the synthesizers, I then put it into practice and see if my idea worked. So yeah, similar
That's
thing.
actually brings up a good question, because I wanted to, during your introduction, I talked
Hmm.
about how that you are a ghost producer, and a lot of people
Yes.
may not have actually heard of this term. Can you go ahead and, I think I got a good grasp of what it means, but for my audience sake, what would you say like is a good definition of a ghost producer?
Well, assuming I've got the definition correct myself, I I think it just means that you work with somebody, with an artist, on a track or an album, but you don't take any of the credit for it because they basically pay you out, and they release the track under their own name as though they produced it. So you're kind of just like an invisible producer, I guess. Um,
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah, so you just get a one-time payment for the job, for the work, and that's that. It's nothing to do with you anymore, kind of thing.
Awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what I kind of was kind of thinking it meant. So
Yeah,
maybe we both have it wrong. Maybe we both have it right. I don't know.
yeah,
But for those of you who have been wondering, what is a ghost producer? And that actually is a viable means of income as well
mhm,
if you
yeah,
have the sound design skills. So when it comes to
yeah,
sound design, because you said you're very passionate about this as well, what
yeah.
drives your creative sort of passions when it comes to sound design? Is there a certain pad that you reach for all the time, or a certain sound that you're going for? Is it more ambient, ethereal, or is it more like technologically?
I guess there's a really broad mix. I I started off with sound design, and then it grew into more like instrument creation. Actually, I did made some instruments for Melda Production. I saw you had the interview recently with Wojciech, and
Mm-hmm.
I built some instruments for him in his software, which is like taking sound design to the next level. It's really interesting and fun because you're not only thinking about how just one preset will sound, but how each knob on the interface will interact with each other, and will it always sound good when the user actually gets their hands on the instrument and tries to make their own sounds, which brings a whole new level to it. So that's really interesting. But if I had to pick my favorite type of synthesis that I'm most interested in, it's probably drum synthesis. Um, I really enjoy working out how to make kicks, snares, and cymbals and things from scratch, whether it be in software, uh, manipulating samples somehow, or physical modeling. I find physical modeling really interesting. And then sometimes just using like an old drum machine, or like using my old like analog synthesizers, which are a lot more limited compared to the software, and just to see if I can get a cymbal sound going on there, for example, which is a lot harder.
Awesome. Okay, so basically you just pull from anything and everything to try to sort of feed
Yeah,
that passion. So that's very cool.
yeah. It's
Whenever
most
you're
important that, sorry, go on,
No, go
continue.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the most important thing is just having fun with it and just experimenting, really. It's just like playing with toys. You just put things together and see what happens and experiment.
Absolutely. You know what you have just done? You have just given us a moment of clarity.
Uh,
Jason has just dropped a little nugget here for you guys. And I talk about this a lot, but I wanted to highlight this because something he just said, when I bring people on and they say stuff like this, sometimes it just slips under the radar. So that's why I have these cool little buttons so that we can actually go back but literally what he just said is he likes to have fun doing it. Now, we've talked about this when it comes to sound design or anything like that. He likes to have fun doing that. So we've talked about this on numerous occasions here on the channel, but I want to reiterate this because he's just brought it up again. If it ever gets to a point where you are mixing, where you're creating music, where you are writing, producing, whatever it might be, and even ghost writing or ghost producing, and it gets to a point where it becomes a drudgery, there's probably one or two building blocks that are making that thing, whatever it is that you're working on. There's probably one or two building blocks that aren't quite in the proper place that they need to be, or they just don't align with your values or your goals. So go back and look at that and maybe just remove those building blocks. And if you have to, it's okay to say no to a project that you don't feel comfortable doing. Like I would not feel comfortable myself if someone came to me and said, hey, I want you to mix this insanely death metal hardcore song for me. I would be like, I know some other mix engineers that are very good at that can do that for you,
Yeah,
but that's just not I wouldn't be able to do that justice. So if I sat down to mix that, I would not be having fun.
yeah,
So what he's just said here is if you focus on the things that you have fun doing, not only are you going to be creating more unique sounds or more unique creative outlets because it's coming from you. But 9 times out of 10 too, you're going to have, obviously, if you are having fun, you're going to have more fun. So thank you so much for throwing that out there too, because a lot of people always sort of extract that out of the equation. And a lot of us got into this because it was fun. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah. And if your heart's not in it, then I think you're doing a disservice to the person you're doing the work for. I guess you'll be giving them a poor results if it's not something you're passionate about and you've really put some effort and love into it. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
So this brings me then to another question, because I know, and this may be kind of like a not so cool question, but when you're developing sounds, or even like when you have an idea for a plugin, what are the biggest hurdles that you face from developing these ideas, and how do you overcome them?
Biggest hurdles. I suppose the biggest challenge when making a plugin is balancing, and I think this is what I put most effort and thought into, is balancing between providing loads and loads of features and putting everything into the plugin, but also making it really super easy to use. It has to be fast to use and intuitive, and trying to balance those two is a juggling act, because at the end you have to decide that you aren't going to include some of the features and some of the controls that maybe you would love to. So yeah, you don't want to make it too simple that it's just boring and it doesn't do much, but you don't want to make it too complicated that it alienates people, or maybe it makes it slow to use. Because as you probably know, in a lot of situations, someone, when they're in their creative flow, often they'll need to just throw the plugin on and get some really great sounding results in just a few clicks, and it needs to work fast. So yeah, I try to put a lot of thought into this, and what I try and do is offer as many features as I can, but kind of make it so that it's deceptively deep, so that on the surface it just looks super easy, and then they start to click a few more times and they go, oh, actually you can do this and it can do this, and then there's more to it than meets the eye. So yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge.
Yeah, and I definitely seen that whole thing unfold that you just talked about when I brought up NanoPulse, because at first I was like, wow, 3 sliders, this is going to be super simple. But then I started realizing, wait a minute, you can take a sample and blend it in with the original, either 100% wet, 50%. Okay, hold on. Now we're getting into some like crazy territory here. And then the fact that all of that too is able to be automated. I mean, you can do some crazy stuff with that. So along those same lines, whenever you're developing these plugins, is there like a specific person, an avatar, so to speak, that you have in mind when you're developing these?
No, not really. I think the ideas, I've got loads of ideas, more ideas than I've got time to turn into plugins. But the ideas come to me all the time, mostly when I'm lying in bed trying to get to sleep, and just my mind's just going and going. And I tend to think, rather than think of the person who it's going to be for, I think of a concept, really. And it can either be trying to think of something that's never been done before, which a few of my plugins have achieved, like Mirror, for example, is quite a unique one, or trying to think of something that has been done before, but how can I improve it? Is there a way I can either simplify the process or improve the sound quality of the process in some way? So yeah, maybe just trying to think of something that's innovative, because what I don't want to do is just make another plugin that's similar to everyone else's and it doesn't do anything new, because that doesn't really excite me too much. So
well, thank you for having that mindset, because there are so many others who honestly, it just seems like just for the sake of putting out something new, they put something out, and it's like, well, we've already got 16 different iterations of that. Why would we need another one? But this one's blue. you know, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like,
And
what?
it's the same for me with music as well. Like if someone asks like what's my taste in music, what kind of music do I like? And there's not like a particular genre really that I would like, but the thing that the music has to have is something unique.
Mm,
Um, my favorite thing about music is hearing somebody's creativity in the music. And if the song is just really, really generic and it sounds very similar to a lot of other music, then it's something that just doesn't really interest me too much, because it's just too predictable. I like to be surprised with music. So, and that's a similar sort of mindset as with the plugins, as I just explained.
absolutely. Yeah. So speaking of the plugins that you have created, which plugin would you say that you're the most proud of and why?
Cool. That's tricky. It's like you're trying to make me choose between a favorite child. uh, I suppose I think my first plugin actually it would have to be Hyperspace. Um, there was an insane amount of work went into that plugin. It's if you don't know about it, it's an algorithmic reverb. Um, but with it being my first plugin, I was so enthusiastic. I wanted to include every feature. I ended up throwing everything at it, and it does so much. It really is like a reverb that you could just use for pretty much any purpose, and you probably wouldn't need another reverb. Um, so there's a lot of features in there.
Nice. I'm currently checking it out while you're talking about it, and
Oh,
it
good.
looks super cool too.
Yeah. Can I tell you some of the interesting things it can do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Um, so there's over like 400 um, 400 different algorithms in there, and they are just controlled by those XY pads at the front there. And the user can literally just drag the XY pads to two different positions and pretty much come up with a completely unique algorithm. And then there's algorithm types as well. There's things like super realistic modeling of space. There's some old vintage hardware emulations in there. There's plate reverb in there. And then there's some really crazy futuristic sounding sort of alien stuff in there as well. It's got spectral separation in there, it sounds so good. And I've never heard another reverb do this before. Maybe it exists, but not that I've seen. But what it does is it applies the reverb more to the noise or the tonal element of the spectrum, which is really useful in a mixing scenario when if you push the reverb more onto the noise and reverberate the tonal elements less, it brings the tonal elements more forward in the mix and pushes the reverb into the background a little bit so your sound doesn't get too washed out, which sounds really, really good. So yeah, and there's loads of other cool stuff on there like ducking, like envelope following, some compression stuff, transient processing as well. It's all, and all of this is like sort of happening inside the reverb, so it like reverberates the transients more or less, which is something that you would reach for as a tool sometimes, but this is just built right in. But yeah, it does a lot of stuff, so I'd probably say I was most proud of this one.
That is crazy to think of, like all of the various uses for this.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
limitless.
yeah, it does a
Wow.
lot, and I tried my best to, like we were speaking about earlier, to make it as easy to use as I could, seeing as how it does quite a lot. I didn't want to put too many controls, and hopefully I achieved that. But
Yeah, it looks like you knocked it out of the park, man. Because
thank you.
it looks like to me, all of the features that it has would probably be overwhelming if you had made the GUI look more overwhelming. But you've got it to where it's so sleek and simple that I
Yeah,
think it just lends itself to getting in there. It just makes you want to get in there and play around with it.
yeah. I think you should give it a try. I think you'll like it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have that one yet.
I'll get you a copy.
Sweet. You've heard it here, folks. He can't go back now. Ooh, by the way, while I'm on here, guys, if you did not know this, there is a 76% sale on Nanopulse right now. You can get it for, it's $19 euro. I'm not sure what that translates to in our monies in the States. But here's a link. I'm going to post it in the chat right now for you to go and check that out. That is an affiliate link. So anything that you buy through that link as well, I will get a small commission for leading you to that product. So I'm seeing some other plugins here too. Tell us a little bit about Orbitron. What does this do?
Oh yeah, Orbitron. You've picked a good one. It's very cool. So you think of modulation type plugins like chorus, flanger, tremolo, like rotary speakers, things like that. And I made a plugin that has 4 quadrants, which are represented. You can see there's the blue, the pink, the green, and the orange, and they're all exactly the same as each other. They're just 4 effects. And in the little drop-down menus, you can choose the effect. So you could have a chorus and a flanger, or whatever combination you like. And then in the middle, the main circle is basically like a mixing XY pad that morphs between the 4 effects. And you can set that in very different ways. You could just drag the dot and just leave it in a position, which is the mix of the 4 that you like, or you can animate it. It can spin around and modulate between the 4, or you can set it to random, which is really cool actually, because you can set, for example, you could put a chorus on all 4 quadrants with slightly different settings on each one, and then set the middle dot to subtly randomize between them, which gives you a very organic sound because it just softly moves between the different speeds and stuff, which is nice.
Wow.
So yeah, it's basically like a modulation plugin in short.
Very, very cool. Very cool.
Thank you. Thanks.
Man, we could get lost in the weeds here all day long. Okay, so just real quickly, one more, just real quickly. I've got to know. Transmutator. What is this?
Oh, transmutator. Yeah. Okay. So transmutator is a creative crossfading tool. So what happens is you throw it on a track, and then you feed a second track into the sidechain input. So now you have A and B, which are represented on the screen as like the red and the yellow. And then the central dial basically just crossfades between the 2. So you just turn the knob or automate it in the track, and it will fade between A and B. But it doesn't just fade the volume in and out of each one. There's a menu selector just above the knob, and there are I think 12 or 16 different modes there, where there's various different ways of morphing between the 2 sounds. So there's spectral morphing, there's like a filter one in there, there's some crazy mid-side switching and things like that. There's like dynamics one that fade across based on level or transients and things like that. So it's a very creative tool. It can be used really well for transitions during a piece of music. If you want to build up maybe into like when the music drops out, or building up to a chorus, and you want to sort of morph a sound from one sound into another, it just gives you loads of different ways to do that.
Very, very cool. So it sounds like basically what you're doing is stuff that no one else is doing.
That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. With that being said, so we've talked a little bit about, you've pretty much said like you're not making this for any one individual, but it seems like to me you're making it a lot for people who like to tinker.
Yes, I suppose. Yeah.
I love the fact that you're including the randomizing. I mean, if you're ever at a point, and for those of you who have ever dealt with this, I'm sure everyone has dealt with this, regardless of, they could try to say that they don't, but they'll lie about other things. When they say that, you know, I've never had a day where I've had writer's block.
Oh
Whatever.
yeah,
I've never had a day
yeah,
where I sat down with a guitar and I couldn't come out with a banger. Whatever. Um, you know, these little randomizers are great tools for breaking out of a ruts whenever you're just sitting at the computer and you're banging your head
yeah.
against the desk going, come on, music, come out of me.
Hmm.
And then you can just hit a little button and all of a sudden you hear a sound and it's like, ooh,
Yeah,
okay, I can work with that. Um,
yeah,
so thank you
yeah.
so
I
much for putting
agree.
those in your plugins.
That's fine. I don't know if you noticed as well. There's three three levels of randomization on there as well.
Yeah, I seen the
Um,
3 different dice. That's cool.
yeah,
So,
it's like smart randomization basically. So the if you go for the first dice, it will only do you some small variations of the sound, which is like not changing anything too drastically, but just giving you a slightly different sound basically. And then the medium one is like a little bit more of an extreme randomization, but still quite sensible because it won't just go wild. It will keep you in the sweet spot still, and it knows like the minimum and the maximum value it will be randomized to make it still sound good. And then the final dice is just like utter chaos. It will randomize everything on the plugin completely random, and it can either come up with something great or some nonsense that
right.
just sounds terrible. There's no knowing.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the first time I've seen that actually on a plugin. I've seen a lot of plugins that have that random button, but not a
Yeah,
lot that have that, like how random do
yeah,
you want to be, you know?
yeah, like smart randomization kind of. Yeah.
So you've developed these plugins. I have to ask, you don't have to divulge, but I would love if you would for our listeners. Are there any new things coming down the pipeline that you would be willing to reveal for the listeners?
Oh, I should have prepared for this question. Uh, I, I don't know how much I can reveal, but there are definitely some plugins on the way. There's a lot of plugins in the work, maybe 4 or 5 things I'm working on,
Nice.
um, and all of them are a little bit unique, like my other plugins. So there's certainly some interesting things on the way. I guess I can give a little bit of a clue as to something I'm working on, but there's no guarantee that this will actually ever make the light of day, because sometimes you work on something and it just doesn't end up working. Sometimes you have to just discard an idea. So yeah, I don't know, but this one seems to be going really well so far. But I'm working on a spectral freezing plugin. Um,
Ooh,
that will freeze the audio indefinitely, in various different ways. So yeah, that could
okay.
be that could be something coming.
Wow. Okay, I can see how that would work. Actually, that I have a guitar pedal that has a freeze
Oh, nice.
that works very similar to that if it's kind of like what you're saying, but I think if I'm picking up what you're putting down, this could be like a whole new level because on a guitar pedal, you can like strum a chord or a note, push the expression pedal forward, and now that note holds indefinitely until you pull the expression
Yeah,
off. But if this is spectral, this could be like a whole new level here. So you could actually,
yeah.
well, I don't want to speculate too much. So, um,
Yeah, and I can't reveal too much. But how does your guitar pedal do it? Because there's various ways to freeze a signal. That you can do it like a granular or spectral, or just a simple delay line. Can
you,
do it as well with like an infinite feedback.
I'm not necessarily completely sure.
Mhm.
I feel like it's sort of like a looper works, only instead of it
Yeah,
working on a time based like round loop,
yeah,
it just works on a. So I guess that would be like a delay with an
yeah, probably, yeah,
infinite wet probably. But it works very well. I've used it several times while I'm playing at church or uh, on different songs where I'll get like
yeah,
a swell and sort of use that like a pad in the background. And if it's in the key that I'm playing in, it works perfectly to just give it like that drone sound. Maybe
yeah.
that's my Scottish heritage. I don't know. I like them drones in there. So
Hey, talking about guitar pedals, I was thinking of picking one up myself, which would be the first pedal. Not that I play guitar, I was thinking of getting this for my synthesizers, but there is the new one coming soon. You might know it, by 𝗏𝗏. Do you know the company 𝗏𝗏?
Mm-hmm.
They've got the new, is it called X something, V? I can't
Oh
remember.
yeah, yeah.
It's some crazy new delay, and it's got like a granular sample rate reduction, different distortion algorithms and reverbs in there. It's so cool.
I'm
LXR or something, I think it might be called.
I'm looking it up right now. 𝗏𝗏 reverb and delay pedals. The LVX True Stereo
That's it. Yeah,
modular delay.
LVX.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, modulate. It goes deep. You can change where you put the effects inside the feedback loop and things like that, and it looks really creative. And
Holy
I like their
smokes.
other pedals as well. And I was almost thinking of getting them, but when I saw this one, it's kind of all of them combined into one pedal, which makes me really want it even more. So I might pick that one up.
Just looking at it, it's like visually it's stunning too.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks. Now you've probably forced me to buy something.
Cost you, yeah, cost you some money. Sorry.
No, it's fine. That's awesome. Yeah, I had heard a little bit about it, sort of, I think from NAMM. I think I just heard it like
Yeah.
thrown out there, but I never really got a chance to look at it. Needless to
Yeah.
say, after this interview, I will be watching some videos now.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. You won't be disappointed.
So if there were, let's just like pull back the layers of the onion, so to speak. If there were no limitations whatsoever, monetary or otherwise, to create the very thing that you wanted to create, what would that be?
Wow. I'm interested in artificial intelligence and how that plays a part in music.
Mm.
I won't necessarily say that I'd like to create something that just automatically writes music for people, but I'm interested in how I could create software that could give people without much experience, like some kind of automation to the process, or maybe even just as we spoke, like with the randomization and stuff, like using some kind of level of AI to generate sounds for them from scratch, that they may have not been able to create otherwise by themselves. I suppose an idea I have is like, is the user would obviously have to have some input as to what type of sound they want, and they would be able to control this with maybe more emotive type controls, like okay, I want to make a bass that is dark sounding, that is very sad sounding, something like that, and they can dial in some certain keywords to what type of sound they want, and then kind of like hit go, and it will just spit out a sound and be like, what do you think of this? So yeah, I'd love to work on that kind of thing.
Well, you know, that actually sounds really cool. You might want to reach out to BandLab and let them know that you're interested in this kind of thing, because here recently they've actually created this. I don't know if you've seen this yet.
I have, only briefly, but I have heard of it. We were discussing it recently.
Yeah.
It's like a song starter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can type in, you know, anything like, I don't know, like Jason Rocks, and then put this in here.
Yeah.
And it's automatically going to create something.
Yeah.
Whether it's usable or not, that's, you know, up to the user, which is kind of cool because it leaves you up to the... See, that totally sounds like Jason Rocks.
Huh? I can't hear anything.
Oh, that's probably because the Zoom likes to take over the... But either way,
well.
it sounds, you know, like something you could start with, literally a song starter. So
Yeah.
I could definitely see you like reaching out to them and then bringing you on board and being like, hey, help us out with this. Cause
Yeah.
I've actually got some contacts in there, I might be able to kick down some emails to you so you can get a hold of them.
Yeah, thank you. I
Absolutely.
think, like you just said, though, I think it's important that it would be a song starter rather than a
Right.
tool that would just automatically. I think that would be sad if we got to that point where music wasn't just made by people anymore, but it was just, you just click the button once and it just spits a track out. I think that would be sad if we got there. So it's
Right.
nice for it to give you some kind of starting point for which to build on, but you would have to also use your own creativity to turn it into something, into a finished product.
And I'm glad that they actually named it Song Starter because of that.
Yes.
I think it's a great,
Yeah.
They kind of like just go ahead and put that out there. Like, this is just to start with.
Yeah.
Now, will there be people that take that and run with it? Who knows? But in the end, if it's music, if it makes people smile, if it makes people happy, if it makes people cry, if it makes people reflect upon something that they've done in life, even if all they did was press a button, if it is moving people emotionally, that's that gray area. Is like, is it bad?
Yeah.
Or is it like,
I guess not. If it achieves the final result, then yeah, I guess it's fine.
Exactly.
It would be a shame though. They would put a lot of people out of work.
Yeah.
The end user, it doesn't really affect them too much, I guess. They're getting the music still that sounds good, that invokes an emotion in them, and but if the guys who enjoyed making that music so much weren't able to do that anymore, that would be a shame.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, you've got a lot of great creative ideas here. And I think personally that a lot of your plugins are vastly different from others on the market, but I want to hear sort of, it's a weird expression here in the States, but from the horse's mouth.
We say that too. We
okay.
have this one.
I was like, I hope I don't say this. And then he's like, what are you talking? Calling me a horse. There's actually a crazy story that goes along with things that you shouldn't say in other countries, but I'll tell that later.
Yeah.
But so from your own perspective, then, how do you feel that your products differ from other products on the market?
Well, each plugin differs in a different way. But like we touched on earlier, they always do differ. It's just the whole point of them for me is that I've done something a little bit different or something that I've not seen in another plugin before. So I guess I could give you an example of that, which is one that we haven't spoken about yet, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The plugin that I released recently called Mirror is a little bit unique. It does something that I hadn't seen done in another plugin before. I'd seen something similar, but it doesn't do it the same way. So the reverse snare trick, where you copy your snare track and then flip it round so that the snare happens before the actual snare. The reverse sound happens before the dry sound, right? And I thought, what if I could make that happen automatically in a plugin? And that's what this does. So it's a bit quirky because what it does is it reports a fake latency to the DAW. It actually doesn't need to incur any latency, but it sends the latency report to the DAW so that the DAW will delay all of the other tracks except for this one, which means this plugin is now ahead of time. It has a buffer, and it uses this buffer ahead of all the other tracks to reverse the audio and play it back before the sound even happens. So it gives you the reverse snare or reverse reverb. It's got reverb built in as well. And the cool thing about the reverb in there is that the reverb is applied to the sound before it gets reversed. So it's a backwards reverb. And it basically plays back the sound before the dry sound even happens. So it's like a negative delay, a reverse negative delay. So it's quite unique. And it's a very cool effect, and it speeds up a process as well, which is normally when you do this reverse snare effect, you would have to do it blind. And what I mean by that is you would flip the sound and then render out the results and see, does it sound good? And if it doesn't, then you kind of go back and do it again. And what this lets you do, it lets you do it all in real time whilst the music is playing. So you can play the track and you can filter high pass and low pass the snare, add a bit of reverb and a signal. You can even trim off the transient if that's a little bit too strong to soften it.
Wow.
And then when it's sounding great, you can just bounce it down, and because it's all synced to the DAW, it's all in perfect timing, and all of the snares are already in the correct position. And once you've bounced it down, of course, then you've got rid of that latency because the plugin's not active anymore. But yeah, it just speeds that process up.
Awesome. I'm gonna try to get to some of these questions real quick in the chat.
Oh, cool.
It does look like we have a couple here that I think you would definitely be better at answering than
Yeah,
myself.
okay. Yeah, sure.
Let me try and, yeah, I was going to try to pull it up here on the screen, but I don't think it's going to let me. Let's see here. Nope. Okay, so I'll just read it from the chat. That's fine.
Okay.
𝗧𝗵𝗲𝗛𝗦, sorry if I'm butchering your channel name. He says, what is the best framework or starting point for a wannabe VST programmer?
I don't use it myself, but I believe Juice is a really popular one. That's a bit more basic than coding everything from scratch yourself, as it gives you, I believe it gives you some sort of building blocks, and it simplifies the process somewhat. But I don't want to give any wrong information about it. I don't know too much about it, but I know that it's very popular, and especially with people first starting to build, they like to build in Juice, I hear. So that one.
Awesome. Okay. I think honestly, due to your interview skills, you've actually pretty much answered all of the other questions.
Well, I don't know if we didn't discuss this, so I hope this is okay with you. But we could even give a plugin away if you wanted to one of the viewers. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
Absolutely. You know what I will do is I'll actually go ahead and set up a quick giveaway in the chat right now.
Oh, great.
Just take me just about a second here. Which plugin would you like to give away?
Well, I think it might be best if they choose. Is there a way for us to do this?
Yes, absolutely.
So the winner or the one that gets selected would just let us know which one they're interested in, and they can just have that one.
Okay. That's even better. All right. Well, you guys have heard it here. This is very, very generous. Thank you so much.
How will we pick who would win? Just randomly? Just leave a comment and then we pick one at random?
So I actually have a bot that I can run in my chat section. Those that are veterans here on the channel, you know exactly how this goes. But for those of you that maybe you don't know, all you have to do whenever I begin to run this giveaway, which will begin here in just a minute, is you just simply need to type in the chat !, capital H, capital S, capital S for Home Studio Simplified. And we're going to call this JMG plugin giveaway. Okay.
And then it will randomly select one of those?
Absolutely.
Right.
So here we go. You're going to have 3 minutes to enter. Let me make sure that that is in fact set up correctly there. Okay. All right. The timer is set. So all you simply have to do now is type in !HSS. You can see that Streamlabs has joined the chat. and they're telling you that a JMG plugin giveaway has now started. All right.
Can I enter?
Absolutely. Go for it. Good deal. So for those of you who are wanting to get your hands on one of their plugins, this would be an excellent opportunity for you to do that. And another good reason for you to tune into the channel. So thank you so much, Jason, for your generosity.
No problem.
While we have this plugin giveaway going on, we got another 2 minutes and 15 seconds with 7 entrants already who have already signed up to win. I know, right?
That was quick. Yeah.
While we're waiting for this to come to a close, though, for the giveaway, I'm going to go ahead and ask you a couple of curveball questions.
Oh,
yes.
It sounds scary.
No, it's not. I promise you. These are questions I ask every single person that I interview, and it's a 2-part question. So the first question is, Jason, what is your favorite color?
Oh, that's a deep question. I don't have a favorite color. Do you know, I like the color white because it contains all of the colors of the light spectrum. So
there you
I'll
go.
choose white.
Okay. This is the second part of the question then. You've chosen the color white. Jason, what does the color white smell like?
Oh, how strange. It's odorless, isn't it? Of course.
There we go.
Is that what that's an answer?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, there we go then.
If it's the first thing that comes to mind, absolutely.
It was.
Awesome. I've had a lot of great fun with that question. It's a really good way to sort of culminate things, bring things into a lighthearted ending of things.
Can you tell me a strange answer you've had that you can remember?
Yes. I had a mastering engineer on, and mastering engineers by nature are more analytical. Don't get me wrong, they're still creative, but they're more analytical. So analytical people have a harder time answering this question because they're more like methodical, logical thinkers. And when I asked him, he said, oh yeah, my favorite color is black. And he gave me this really weird look, like, why is he asking me this? You know, he was analyzing me. And I said, well, what does the color black? I think I asked him, what does it taste like? And, or no, I did say smell. That's right. I did say smell. And he was like, black is a color. It doesn't have a smell. And I was like,
of course.
I was like, man, what a way to shoot me down, you know? But then he followed that up with, and there's no way I could ever recreate the long string of vituperations that he began to, when he came back with, well, you know, actually think about it. Black is actually the absence of this and that. And he went on like a 3-minute tangent about what black is, what it isn't, and if it did have a smell, what it would smell like. And I was like, mind was blown, you know? So it was very fun. It was very cool. At first I thought, this guy's like totally put off by this. He's never coming on the show again. He's going to lose my email after this. But he's a super cool guy though. So
it is a question a lot of people actually do associate with music as color. Recently, I went to a studio in London for a meeting with, he's like a mix engineer. And he was telling me that him and his main artist, whenever they write a song together, they always have to decide what color is it.
Really?
Just by listening to the music. And every song on every album they made, they would say, okay, this particular piece of music is orange or whatever they decide. So yeah, it reminded me of that conversation when you asked me then.
Well, that's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to pick the winner. And the winner is Mob the Gamer. Congratulations, Mob the Gamer. You have just won a plugin of your choice from JMG Sounds. Awesome. Yet again, very generous of you, man. I greatly appreciate that. Let's give
It's
a
all
quick
part
shout
of the
out
fun.
to these folks here who are recent subscribers. And just real quickly, want to give a shout out to them. Mainly because I accidentally clicked on the screen. So, and we're back. They're so close together. I accidentally clicked on that screen. So I was like, why not give them a shout out? So, but yeah, congratulations, Mob. His luck is immutable. I don't know how, but every time we have a giveaway, this guy wins something.
No, really.
He's just got the luck of the Irish, I guess, but he's
Oh.
definitely not Irish. So, but yeah, I'm
Good.
sure he's going to put it to good use too. If you guys have not checked out his course that we have here in the Home Studio Simplified store, you got to check out his course. It's only $12. It's just a real quick course on how to get that radio ready modern vocal mix. And if you're a VIP member, you get it for free. So definitely want to check that out. But yeah, he will definitely put that to good use. So Jason, where can people find out more about you, more about your plugins, and do you have like any social accounts that you would like for them to come and follow, or?
No, not really. Pretty much the only online presence I have is on the website for the United Plugins website, where all the plugins are available to buy. But you can read a little bit about me there, because just recently, I think it was just like 1 or 2 weeks ago, we put an interview up there. I think if you scroll down on the homepage a little bit, you should see there's like a news section. There it is at the top there. Who created Nanopulse? And there's an interview there, so you could read that if anyone was interested in finding a little bit more.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, and so for those of you that maybe did not know, along with JMG Sound, the most recent interview too that we just had with Wojtek, these guys are in cahoots, okay? They're in cahoots making some awesomeness over here on United Plugins. So anytime that you've ever seen me do a video on United plugins, you've now met some of the creative geniuses behind all of this. So,
and let me tell you, he's a close friend of mine. I've worked with him for a long, long time, and you can say his name much better than I can.
I stayed up all night practicing.
I can tell. It's good. Well done.
The first time I said it, he was like, did you just, he was like, well, you need a little bit more. I said, you mean like Wojtek? And he's like, that's it. How did you do that? And I was like, well, you know, I mean, I don't want to brag or anything. But awesome.
Yeah.
So good having you on. I appreciate your work.
You.
Keep up the good work, by the way, because you're doing an awesome job. I love the plugins that you're creating.
Thank you.
And if you guys want to find out more about him, one of our moderators has just posted a link to that website, the United Plugins website. Go and check them out. They have a ton of really like groundbreaking ideas that they're putting on there. And I've covered a lot of their plugins here on the channel as well. So if you are wondering like maybe, well, what does Front DAW do? What does Nanopulse do? What does 𝗵𝗲 do? What does, I've done probably videos on every one of these plugins. If not, I will be. And we've already heard here, we've already heard here today, guys, that Jason's going to give me one of these plugins so that I can review it. So,
did I say that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think I remember you said, yeah. I can't remember which one it was though. I think it was Hyperspace. Was it Hyperspace?
Yeah. It was Hyperspace. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, either one of them will be awesome. But
yeah, if you want to let me know if you there's one you're particularly interested in making a video about, just let me know. You're welcome to do a video on any of them.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I've done one on Nanopulse, but I have actually not covered any of these other plugins. So Hyperspace definitely sounds like it's up my alley. I am a huge fan of ambient music. I'm a huge fan of big lush reverbs, and it sounds like, if I'm not mistaken, that this thing can do that. So
yeah, it's way capable of that. It has an inertia control as well, which gives you an almost infinite reverb tail, which would be really good for ambient stuff. So yeah, you might enjoy playing around with that one.
Definitely. Well, I'll be looking forward to that email where you kick that plugin down to me, and I will definitely put together a good review and tutorial for that.
Oh, thank you so much.
Apart from anything else that you guys have any questions for, you're more than welcome to email me personally at homestudiosimplified@gmail.com, or you can always reach out to Jason through the website and ask him any questions you might have as well. So until next time, guys, let's give him a big round of applause for coming on today. Thank you so much for coming on, Jason. We are going to go ahead and end this interview with him. But for those of you who are still sticking around for the rest of the stream, stick around, because we're going to actually go through a couple more things that are channel specific, and then we'll end the stream that way. So Jason, it was really good having you again. Have a great day, man.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Stay
Take
well.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow. What an awesome individual. So I hope you guys got a lot of value out of that chat. I know I personally, it's just so good to meet the people behind these brands and to put a face with a name, to be able to actually like sort of pick their brain and find out like, what are you guys doing back there creatively? It's so cool to be able to get to ask these questions. So for those of you who are tuning in a little bit late, you can always go back and check out the interview before that we just did. It's always going to be on the channel. It's evergreen content, so you can always go back and check that out. Now, the other aspect of this that I want to talk about is we do have other interviews on the channel that if you have not checked those out, go and check them out as well. We have an interview with the 𝗵𝗲 production. We just recently did an interview with him. That's 𝗏𝗏. And now I'm going to butcher it when I try to say it. I'm going to try to bring up the playlist here so you guys can actually see that. So yeah, we have a live Q&A with Warren Hewart, Matt Boudreau from Working Class Audio, Jesse Josephson from Sync My Music, a really great interview about music sync licensing and how you can break into that. Scott Elliott from Chernobyl Studios. Oops. Didn't mean to click on that. Scott Elliott from Chernobyl Studios, another awesome guy. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 is even interviewed on here. Love this guy, man. He's making some awesome beats. He's doing a lot of good work over there. We have beat making with Bongonzo. If you've not watched this kid work, I'm sorry, I can say kid because I'm like 40. But if you've not watched this kid work, he is amazing. Like, he works so fast that it's like, I actually brought him on the show just so he would slow down a little bit and go, all right, now show us how you're doing this. And we had a great little collaboration where he actually made the beat, and then I mixed and mastered the beat for him, shared it with his audience on how they could mix and master their beats to get them sounding better. That was a great collaboration there. We also have beat making with 𝗏𝗏𝗏. He's an artist based in Canada who is a Christian rap artist, Christian hip hop. Amazing. Audio Surgeon, who is a synthetic musician, I guess you would call it. He works with synths. He has a lot of great insight as well. For those of you who might be wanting to get into sound design or synthetic music, I'm going to post a link in the chat right now to this playlist if you want to go and check that out later too. Rich Steve Beck, Addy from Hit the Road Music. 𝗵𝗲 the Gamer was even interviewed on here. That was a really fun interview. David Glenn, Sarah Carter from Simply Mixing. Here's an interview with me on Warren Hewart's channel. Here's Sanjay C, Brandon Stone, 𝗏𝗏𝗏. What? I'll say it right one of these days. It looks like I've got her on here twice. Oh well. Chris Bradley, Matthew Weiss, another, that might be the same interview with Warren here. I actually have interviewed him twice, so I'm not sure if that's the same or not. He's been on a couple times. He actually came on for the 10,000 subscriber celebration. And then we have Samuel Knock. And then we just did our interview with Jason Gibbons. So if you guys are interested, go and check that out. You're going to get a lot out of that playlist. And if you're wanting to listen to this in audio format, maybe you want to stick this in your ears while you're mowing or you're on your commute. Every one of these interviews that I've done on YouTube are also on the podcast. And you can find the podcast just by simply going over to the website, 𝗧𝗵𝗲 Let me bring that up real quick. And up here at the very top, you'll see a podcast tab. You just simply click on this and you can see there's 73 episodes here for you to check out. And it would be very, very nice of you if you would go to the bottom of the screen here where it says leave a review and just drop me a little line of goodness right here. Oh, actually, it looks like we got one from 2 days ago. This is super cool. From Stony Buckner. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. This just basically helps me to get a little bit more social clout and some trustability from individuals who might be looking at the channel wondering what we're all about. I want to make sure that when people click on the channel or they buy any courses from us or anything like that, that they feel completely comfortable with who they're getting them from as well. So, all right, guys, until next time. Oh, wait a minute. What's that I hear? What's that noise? Is that a Wheel of Awesomeness? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Wheel of Awesomeness. I'm your host, 𝗧𝗵𝗲 𝗪𝗀, getting ready to spin the wheel. That's right, folks. This is where it gets crazy. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 jumps on here, and then that definitely looks like it landed on song feature. Yes, it did, in fact, land on song feature. So, who would like to have a song featured on the channel? We're going to find out. The best way that we're going to do that is we're going to run a song feature giveaway. So this is going to be super simple. All you have to do in order to enter the giveaway is !HSS again. And we will go ahead and run that for 3 minutes right now. Good deal. So all you have to do to enter this giveaway, or this is actually a song feature, is just capital H, capital S, capital S, and there needs to be an exclamation point before that. You'll see that in the chat as well as people are commenting. And what we'll do is we will get your song, you'll email it to me, and then I will feature it here on one of the live streams. We'll take a listen to it. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for hopping on the show today. What's song feature? My internet cut out. Oh, yeah. So basically, you enter the giveaway. Well, it's the giveaway type thing that we do, but if you win, you actually win a song feature. So you can submit a song and I will play it here on the show and everyone to feature it here on the show. Also, if you're not aware, we do have a monthly song contest. So every single month, we have a lot of creative individuals who will submit a song. Link is in the description, or you can go to the website. Yet again, at the top, it'll say monthly song contest. Click on that link. It'll give you all of the details. And basically, you can enter a song every single month. We then come together. We listen to all the songs together, and I give you my professional feedback on those. And then I choose a song from that pool. Whoever wins gets a free mix and master from me. And I usually do that mix and master live so that everybody can benefit from my creative process, how I would approach a mix and how I finish a mix. So if that's something you'd be interested in, I hope I'm not saying this wrong. 𝗵𝗲991 says, too bad I don't have anything I think is worthy of sharing. That's why you need to share it, because I guarantee you it's better than what you think it is. I know it's not polite to point. Sorry. But I guarantee you it's better than what you think it is. And you're going to be posting it in a safe space. Whenever you post songs in here, whenever they're posted for the live chats, whenever they're posted for the song contest, you're not going to be downgraded. You're not going to be looked down upon. We want people who are amateurs, who are novices, who are very beginners to join, because that's what we want to do. We want to help them. And you're never going to be helped if you don't start releasing stuff. It's just to be honest, that's the short and long of it. 𝗵𝗲991. I'm just going to call you P9. Let me tell you, if you want, go over to the 𝗧𝗵𝗲 𝗪𝗀 website. There's 4 different freebies on that front page that I guarantee will help you to get started. Choose from any one of those freebies. I don't know what kind of music you're making, so I don't know which one would be a best fit. But with that being said, one of those should be bound to help you, and that will get you then on my email list. Once you're on my email list, you're able to know when these live streams are going to happen. You're able to know a lot about the giveaways and stuff like that. So awesome. Sage should be safe. All right, so we do have a winner. Let's go ahead and choose our winner. Let's see who that is. You're never going to guess who it is. Yeah, it's 𝗵𝗲 the Gamer. I'm telling you what, this guy's got the algorithms rigged. So congratulations, 𝗵𝗲. Whenever you have a song that you would like to share here on the show, send it over to me and we'll get it showcased. Now, some of you might be wondering, how is 𝗵𝗲 able to win so many things? Well, other than the fact that he's just being cool, there's actually more to it. Did you know that if you become a YouTube member of any amount a month, that you automatically get 4 entries when we have giveaways instead of 1? I probably should have made mention of that like a long time ago, but anywho, yeah, definitely P9. Go back and check that out. That's one of those things that is here on the channel all the time too, if you want to go back and check out the previous videos. So do so. Go back and check them out. And for our Rocket Fuel Bundle members, we are going to be hopping on a call here in just a little bit as well. He says, I didn't know. Yeah, I don't think because I never told you. So that's actually something that I can set up. I probably need to just make it to where, I mean, I wanted that perk to be built in there so that people who were dedicated in giving to the channel would win easily or easier. But I probably need to take that down a notch. Instead of 4, like make it 2. Yeah. Let's see. Is there a way to do that? Yes. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Now I got to figure out how I can do that. I think it's in here, but anyway. Oh, here we go. Giveaway settings. Enter giveaway, repeat, close, winner. I'm going to have to go back and figure out how I did that, because I remember there was a way that I did that. That might be for another time, another space. So there's one for polls. There's one for giveaways. You would think it would be right here. Yeah, I'll figure that out, and we'll make sure that 𝗵𝗲 doesn't get it stacked against him again. Or not really stacked against him, it's stacked for him, I should say. Oh, here we go, here we go. So subscribers get 3 bonus tickets. That's where okay. I'm going to take that down to 1 bonus ticket. Well, that doesn't make sense because you're all subscribers that have entered. Awesome. Congratulations. He passed all of his exams. Speaking of 𝗵𝗲 Gamer. And other than presenting the thesis, I unofficially graduated. Sweet. Congratulations. That's good to hear. And he's unofficially going to come work for me on the marketing side of things. No, he's definitely good at it. So if that's what you're getting into, I can definitely see you excelling there. All right, guys. Well, we've had a lot of fun today. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you for showing up and just having the awesome energy that you do. I hope that you enjoyed today's live stream. And until next time, remember, we can dream alone. We can even create alone. But together, we can achieve so much more. God bless.